We would like to, first of all, thanks a lot, Jeff. It's great to be here in New Brunswick for the Atlantic Harness Racing Symposium, and we certainly want to welcome all of you online as well here today. We're going to talk a little bit about, with Head Table, we'll talk a little bit about some of the marketing plans that we have going on Prince of Rhode Island with our two properties, Summerside and Charlottetown. And I'm going to begin with just a little background note on the last couple of years. You've heard, of course, some of the plans that we've had during the Atlantic Symposium, but also there's been a management shift since that time, and that has been because of the hard work between also the management teams of Harness Racing PI at the time, and also with Atlantic Lottery. The industry association played a big role in this cog as well, and then the opportunity came in early 2010 for us to review our operations and see if we wanted to introduce or tweak the management model at that time, which is indeed what has taken place. So to fast forward to today, we have one management team with one structure. It's led by Tom Mullally, who's the managing director, and he oversees all the operations. Then there's Heidi Duchesne, who's general manager of operations, and Lee Drake with marketing and sales. And then we have a great line, all the managers all together, working together. So now that means, you know, the racing manager with Brett Revington joining us, the dining manager, Sean Furlong, the gaming manager, Melvina Pasher, all of the different lines of business that are working together in those properties are now sitting in one room with one approach and an opportunity to move forward. And I think it's made a world of difference in terms of what we're trying to do, not only with the racing product, but with the other lines of business and how we're going after new target audiences. And at least we all have the same plan in place. And I can say that there's very few places, properties that have a plan like this. And so it's really a new model for us, certainly in the Atlantic region, but I think one model that can be looked upon at any racetrack or casino anywhere in North America. So with that, my role with marketing also aligns with the dining line of business and the gaming line of business, which is slots and also poker. And my heart, of course, is always with harness racing, because that's where I've started and that's where I have a long background with. So one of the challenges that we have at all tracks today, and I think it goes with the theme, is getting new people to the racetrack and to enjoy the experience, not only with live racing, but also during simulcast or some of the many offers we have, whether it's dining or gaming. And when we started our strategy of going out to get new people and target new groups, whether it be Atlantic Canada Showcase, whether it be Golf PEI, whether it's the tourism and the convention business, the cruise ship business, one thing that we felt that was very important from the start was to develop a strategy or an approach that the customer or the client would leave no doubt of what we look like, where we're located, and what we do. So we developed new tourism videos. We have 3 different sizes of them. I'm going to start with the 61 here today. I hope that comes back up. Let me see. Okay. So what we did was we took the Red Shores brand, of course, and we have such great history with Charlottetown Driving Park back to 1888 and with Summerside Raceway in 1886, and we linked it with the brand of Prince of Rhode Island. And as you know, in Prince of Rhode Island, we have Red Shores. And we took the beauty of Prince of Rhode Island and some of the great experiences on Prince of Rhode Island and linked it into our experience with racing, dining, and gaming. And the result is no mistake of what the clients will see and what we're trying to offer. So here is a look at the 60-second commercial that's now hitting the marketplace. Thanks very much. I'm going to get to the presentation side of things now, but I always do a footnote to these videos, and the very reason is we talk about the challenge today in marketing of getting out to new customer base. We know that, of course, that if you come through the doors at any of the racetracks and casinos or racing in general, that we have a great product on the racetrack. We have great people who know how to get that product to the racetrack and great knowledge. But to link things like this gives us the ability to go, and right now, if you heard the announcement with the Cavendish Beach Music Festival, we are aligning our properties. If you go to that site, the main site, and you click on there, this is what you're going to see. Or if you go to Atlantic Canada Showcase, and we're sitting down with new tour operators, and believe me, there are a number of new tour operators that are in a different generation than we are, not quite sure what we offer. That is, gives them the educational tool and the power we need to market our property and the beauty of Prince Edward Island, in this case, to those customers. And lastly, you know, when we're working with sales, we take the opportunity of Golf PEI this year, where we talked about this many times, and I know I talked with Norm about this, is that Golf PEI has sales representatives that are based in Ontario selling product on Prince Edward Island. Pretty hard for those individuals who are not quite familiar with our property, of what we do, to try to sell it to a new customer to come to Prince Edward Island. So we've armed them with their own video to take with them. And we have 3 different versions. We have a 15-second version that played in movie theaters. Again, a different brand for racetracks, I think, to go into a market that's totally different. We're not going to convert it. We're going to the new market. And we've given those sales reps that so they feel totally comfortable, and all they really have to do is show it. The next thing you have to do is book it. And it makes it a lot easier for them to book it. So the presentation today is one experience, and the respect of time, and I know Kelly and Kathy are coming up, of course, with some different proposals as well. And the neat thing about all of us is that we've worked together. I've learned so much from them, and I've taken some of their ideas and molded into our properties. And then when we get together, we always look at some of the things that we're doing at tracks and casinos in general that we have to fine-tune in order to get more people out to the racetrack, not only to the racetrack, but as you know, on Prince Edward Island, we have 110 dates in around those dates, and there's 365 days of the year, so we have properties to run. So we have to look at other ways of getting people into our properties to not only educate them and showcase racing, in this case, because we're at a racing symposium, but we also have dining lines of business and gaming line of business that go to our bottom line, as you know, from an operation. So that's what we try to do. So I'm going to pick and choose some of the slides that we go through here today. I talked about it earlier, and I'm just pointing it out. It's one exceptional team, an entertaining experience, a unique offer, which anytime you blend any one of these offers together, it's certainly unique. We're the only one of the property of its kind in Atlantic Canada and east of Toronto. And we set out our goals as well. We have the objective always lined out, and that is to create and deliver one exceptional entertainment experience, which results in increased customer satisfaction level and continued growth. Marketing vision, I don't have to spend a lot of time on that, because I've basically told you what our division is doing and what we overall vision, but I will point this out. One thing that I needed help with was I have a marketing coordinator that helps me on the ground, and also we hired this year a sales and events person whose job is to work with us in marketing, falls under my division, and she is actively out meeting with groups, coming back with presentations to do at the property. And when we get them there, for example, in Summerside on Thursday night, we did a chamber mixer. We mold in all of our experiences. So they're there for an experience for the chamber mixer, which 50% of the people that were there probably weren't at the racetrack before. And when they came in, we gave them a $2 voucher for a race in Dover from Summerside. They had great food experience, and we were able to give them what we can give their customers or their clients are coming in, whether it's for presentations or an evening out or something like that. And those are the type of things that we're doing that are reaching new customers. So that's the role of the marketing team, of course. So I'm going to fast forward these slides here. By the way, the new sales and events person is Corinne Pickering. So since we are on harness racing today, this presentation I took out because if I turn the slides over, it would be building one experience. I'm going to take in every strategy. So there's a harness racing strategy for live and simulcast. There's a gaming strategy, and which includes slots and poker. And of course, there's a dining strategy. We wrap that into a communications plan, and we fill that calendar up with events, which are live racing events, of course, but other events. Like, for example, in Charlottetown tonight, there's 225 people on the top of the park for a Children's Wish Foundation fundraiser. Again, as Kelly and Kathy and I were talking earlier, it's driving business through the doors that wouldn't normally be there. So our lines and our goals: maintain the current customer, attract new customer, that's what it's all about, and launch major on-site promotions. We've done that, and those of you who have seen the presentation before know that we'll continue to do that. But we also want to embrace some new wagering technology and also launch new promotions on site. So with the live presentations, we've added such things as great product on the track and great camera work and hosts. But we also had to take it one step further if we're going to get these new people into our places, and that is we had a racing hostess come in, and they're there just to educate. That's all they do. They educate, they ask questions, they'll ask you how to read a race program if you need that, or how to place a bet. And we found that that was very informative to us, and we build it into all of our plans, because if you're going to go the effort of getting new people in, you also have to go the effort to make sure they enjoy their experience so they're coming back. World Broadcast Show, well, one of the neat things that we're doing today, we're going to be broadcasting our show out many times throughout the season, and we're going to link our two properties. So when the dates are going in Charlottetown, we're going to do a unique offer in Summerside, so you can go to the Summerside facility and see Charlottetown. But since we're linked together, and it's all the same marketing team and our same division all together, Brett Revington and his team, of course, we all come together and say, let's make a unique offer in Summerside so that you can get the Charlottetown experience and Summerside experience, but by going to that other property, which is going to drive business for us, we'll give them something new. The last couple of things that we have on mine is we talked about unique offers for fans, wagering. Everybody needs to wager. That's our bottom line with it. But I'm going to give you a couple of examples that we did. Last year at the Symposium, you heard me talk about a ticket that I wanted to tie in. I know Jeff is here today with United Tote. I wanted to tie in a ticket to a jackpot. And how do you do that? So what we did was we called it Wild Horses. We launched it last season at both properties, and we tied it to a particular race, the feature race. But as you're going to see this year, we're going to tie it into different races throughout the program, and how it works is very simple. It's an instant pick. So what you do is you go up and buy your ticket on your race. That's the first thing you have to do. It's minimum bet of $2, or you can buy whatever. But once you buy the ticket, you're eligible to get the Wild Horses ticket, which is an instant pick. It's stamped Wild Horses on the back of the ticket, and if that ticket comes in, matches to the winning triactor, not only do you get the triactor, but you get the jackpot. And we started with $500 jackpots to this ticket. And it's been very successful, and we're going to toy with it a little more and maybe add some more money to it. We had 6 grand prize throughout the season where they'd land on the ticket. They get the payout, which is in some cases $200 and some on their instant pick, if they're lucky enough and all the favorites didn't come in, and then they tacked on another $500. So it was just another way to increase business or sales. And finally, in my line of business now, because I'm intertwined with all of the lines of business, I introduce something that would drive business. First of all, give the customer a deal and drive it to my other lines of business. I introduced a thing called the Track Pack, and I have a copy of it back there. You'll see it on the screen here. Very easy. It's a good card stock. You get it when you come to get your race program, and it's for $5. And for $5, you get your race program, you tear off the tab, you get a $2 wager, you get a $2 Lotto 649 or Proline ticket, your choice, and you get 10% off at our food and beverage outlets, all for $5. They started going off the racks, and not only did people need a break, they wanted a good deal, but I saw the other lines of the business start to overflow when people were coming into the facility. So they came in for racing, but they also came into dining, and saved some money there, and they drove some money into the lottery side of the business as well. It's called the Track Pack. Simulcast, we all know it goes into each market, but I'm going to give you an example of what we're doing at Summerside and Charlottetown, much like the idea that we just had for the business mixer. How do we drive business? Well, Brett knows that, we have a great simulcast core of business, but when you link that into a presentation where people coming in for the dinner or for a Valentine's dinner, for example, we gave them one price. We gave them a price for the dinner, which was like $45 all in, and we included a $5 gaming voucher and a bet. And we brought in Rito Carlton from Ottawa on the Valentine's Day program, all on their screen, and it was all done for them. No intimidation, an instant pick. Here it is. Enjoy your night. No one else can get that experience, and we've put it into a package. And I think that's one thing I just wanted to get out today to say, look, that's how we do it, and we're all work together. We can do it anywhere if we want to do it. I'm going to end on building the brand, and I'm going to turn it over to Kathy and Kelly. But outside of our structure of what we just talked about, Tom Mullally, our managing director, is very keen in making sure that these properties are not only part of the fabric of the community, of which harness racing has built them to be, but also to continue to get into supporting the community and fundraisers and events, whether it's golf events, retailers, receptions. Now we work with Atlantic Lottery, gives them an opportunity to maybe take some of their receptions back here, and going into new markets that we traditionally have never been in before. And I think that's our challenge, that's everyone's challenge, and I'm very happy to say that we've started in that role at Summerside and Charlottetown. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Lee, and great to hear what's going on in Red Shores, and looks great. Next we'll have Kathy Wade from Standardbird Canada come up and details on the Standardbird Canada marketing initiatives.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lee is always a tough act to follow. So anyway, I'm just going to give an update on our programs and projects for the Standardbird Canada Industry Marketing Department. And just for those of you who don't know, this is our mandate to develop an overall plan or strategy to help our member tracks in developing new fans and new horse owners, and to create the programs, templates, and promotions that would help us fulfill these objectives. And our department, there's basically 4 of us: myself, a marketing coordinator, a graphic designer, and our resource center technician. And these are the programs that we're involved in, or the areas: youth programs, horse ownership, events, merchandise and resources, customer service, and participant support. These are some of the major events we're involved in. The O'Brien Awards, we just held the end of January, a marketing workshop, which we have every other year, and we invite all of the track marketing people to come to Mississauga. A wagering conference, which we've done in conjunction with the Canadian Gaming Conference twice now. The Canadian Breeders' Championships, that's 4 races for 3-year-olds, which we host at Mohawk Racetrack each year. Extreme Horsepower, this will mark our 5th year of Extreme Horsepower. That's an event that we partner with Georgian Downs on. Extreme Racing Series we launched last year, and we partnered with 5 different racetracks in Ontario. Our Trot Canada National Handicapping Championship, last year was our 4th year, and our grand champion of that event was from PEI, Dean McNevin. And our National Driving Championship, this is the 3rd year that we're having this event, and it will be hosted at Red Shores at Charlottetown, May 7th, and that will be the 2nd time that we have it in PEI as well. Just a few pics from the O'Brien Awards. I think a few people in the room were at that event. We won't disclose any names. And right now, where we stand with the National Driving Championship, we've had the Atlantic Regional, we've had the Western Regional. The Ontario Regional was to have taken place last night at Western Fair, but Western Fair had to cancel due to another snowstorm in London. So we're in the process of rescheduling that date. We're hoping for the last week of March or first week of April. And our Quebec Regional Driving Champions, representatives, we had to have a committee select 2 reps because of when the racing starts in Quebec, we couldn't coordinate a regional there this year. And then, of course, we're all looking forward to May 7th. And we had Kenny Arsenal and Gilles Berriot qualify at the Atlantic Regional. And Gilles, of course, was our winner back in 2007 and represented Canada in New Zealand at the World Driving Championship. Brandon Campbell and Dave Houdon from the Western Regional. And our TBAs from Ontario and from Quebec, we have Mario Charon and Sylvain Lacaille. Our Wanna-Bet program is something we've worked on since 2004 now, and that program in Ontario is funded by the Standardbred Revenue Marketing Allocation Committee, which Kelly alluded to in her presentation this morning. So we manage that program. We hire a customer service team. We create all the resources, brochures, program ads, signage. We run games and contests. We have a Wanna-Bet tip sheet that's available. And last year we launched something called a Super PAC, which is a $10, it costs $10. There's 5 tickets in the Super PAC. It's a pre-purchased show wager, place wager, exactor, and triactor wager. And the selections are based on the tip sheet. And the selections in the tip sheet are based on a computer-generated formula that takes into account, I think it's 6 different criteria. So, sorry, and I didn't mention too, the customer service team goes to tracks in Ontario on major event days. So they help the tracks with customer service, run all the games contests, help new people, show them how to read a racing program, teach them how to wager, hopefully engage them in the racing experience. That's our Wanna-Bet website, and one item we have on the Wanna-Bet website is you can download something, it's an easier program, our simplified version of the race program. Anybody can go on this site and download that program. There's a couple of pics from Extreme Horsepower. And what we try and do with Extreme Horsepower each year is change some of the races. So the first year we had, I think, 4 or 5 races with 18 horse fields, different distances. We took the best of that year, and then we tried to add 2 or 3 different types of races the following year. The following year, I think we added a counterclockwise race, changed the distances for some of the races. So this year we're going to be hard-pressed to find another new distance or field size. And the Trot Handicapping Championship. Last year we were at Georgian Downs. And there's Dean, winner of $25,000. This year, there is a potential that we might actually be having a North American Handicapping Championship. And we're currently in discussions with the USTA, the Meadowlands, and Woodbine. The Meadowlands traditionally host a handicapping championship, and they were finding that their numbers were declining. Our numbers have declined in the last 2 years in terms of the number of tracks that send qualifiers to our championship. So we thought, why don't we merge the two and make a bigger event with a larger grand prize, more participation. So we're hoping to have an announcement about that in about 3 weeks. So. Horse ownership. Actually, the gentleman, Todd, this morning, he mentioned that his horse had won one of the, or they had won an SC Owner Award. This was a program we started about 3 years ago, and it's to recognize owners. We provide a trophy for an owner, whether it's an owner award at a track or within a province or an association. And I think we have about 20 different tracks and associations who participate in that program. Our Winner's Circle Ownership Guide, it's available online. We're in the process of, it's been redone. We're hoping to reprint it in the next couple of months. We initiated the Standardbred Extreme Camps back in 2005, which Kelly talked about this morning. Our owners' workshops, which we do in conjunction with the provincial horsemen's associations. We also create all of the marketing materials around those, the workshops, the ads, the posters, the kits, all of the materials. What else do I have here? And the ownahorse.ca website. There's a lot of information on that website about horse ownership. And right now we're working on a Facebook fan page about horse ownership, where people can upload their Winner's Circle photos, presentation photos, photos of their new foals, write little stories. We're populating that fan page right now, and we hope to launch that the end of March. So, Trot for Kids, that's our 4 pages in Trot Magazine each month, with the exception of twice a year we expand to 16 pages. We just launched our trotforkids.com website a couple of weeks ago, so make sure you check that out. We have Willie Wynn's blog. Willie keeps everybody up to date on where he's been, where he's going, what he's doing, how he does in the Mascot Roadshow. So we get lots of people viewing Willie Wynn's blog. Activity books, we create a different activity book every 2 years. We print about 10,000 copies, and we make those available to all of the racetracks and associations across the country. We have kids' resource packages and learning materials. We have these giant posters that racetracks can use at special events, special family events or kids' days. We use them at any events where Trot for Kids is set up. We also use those resources at Equimania, which is a huge interactive display that that Equine Guelph has created, and they travel to events like the Royal Winter Fair. They were at the World Equestrian Games last year. They're at the Can-Am Equine Emporium next week in London, and we actually have a Trot for Kids stable that's set up as part of that display, and all of the kids who go to Equimania, they get either a Trot for Kids activity book or one of our 16-page Trot for Kids issues. And we actually gave those out to 10,000 kids at the Royal Winter Fair last year. So that's the one of the the splash page for the Trot for Kids website. And Willie Wynn's blog, all about his adventures in harness racing. So we have all of these materials that we create, and what we do is we upload them to a marketing portal, and all of the marketing people who work at tracks and associations across the country have access to the portal, and they can download all of the program ads, the posters, brochures, anything we create that's generic in nature and that tracks can use. We try and upload it to the portal, and actually we launched the portal 4 years ago, I believe, and we're just in the process of overhauling it just to make it a little bit more user-friendly. I know some tracks use it a lot, and we're trying to make it better, and we're hoping too that if tracks have resources they'd like to share with other racetracks, that we could get those resources from the tracks and upload them to the portal too. And we create merchandise and resources, as I mentioned, posters. We did an Admiral's Express poster the year that he was Horse of the Year, and that was given out at tracks across the country. We've done Trot for Kids calendars. Right now, in the last year we've produced I Love Canadian Harness Racing swag, t-shirts, hats, lanyards. And that's it. I had just a couple slides on another topic about the experience at the racetrack. But I know we're short of time, but I just want to make a comment that, you know, we all talk about marketing the sport, and we can all do our part, but it is really about what happens when they get to the racetrack. And Lee said that, you know, we can spend a lot of money, flashy marketing campaigns, advertising, whatever, but what happens at the racetrack really makes a difference whether or not people come back. So, and we have so many opportunities that we can exploit or make available to people, like rides in the starting gate car, rides in the double-seated jog cart, behind-the-scenes tours, you know, if you have a horse on display in a portable stall so people can pet the horse, get their photo taken. Like, we have all of these great opportunities, winner's circle presentations, and I really think that we need to I guess, exploit those as much as possible, or you know, take advantage of those types of opportunities, because that's when we get people engaged. And I think Todd, too, he really alluded to those types of things. I mean, he's got 10 people who are involved in horse ownership because they had the opportunity to put their hands on horses, so to speak. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And I know for New Brunswick, we've used that portal before and get a lot of good marketing stuff. The actual posters we have outside here on display came from that portal, so it's great to share all the marketing initiatives and information. Next, Kelly Spencer again from Grand River. She's going to speak on marketing initiatives up there, and no bouncing phonies. Yeah, so we'll hear from Kelly.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And thanks to Kathy. She led beautifully right into my presentation, so I know we're short for time. So it is my natural instinct, because I get so excited by harness racing, that I could talk for hours, but I will keep it on the straight line here. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with Grand River Raceway, we built in 2003, opened in 2004, so it's relatively new. It was a $30 million project. It's 45,000 square foot grandstand overlooking a half-mile track and an 11 race paddock. 240 slot machines, simulcast wagering. It looks a lot like Red Shores, actually. It's very similar. So picture that, but without the majestic East Coast beauty. And the Red Shores. All right, we are owned by an agricultural society, so that's the structure of our organization. Our mission is to support and enhance agriculture through an ever-evolving harness racing enterprise. Our vision is to create, through innovative action, a unique and entertaining experience in our multifaceted operation. So, Grand River Raceway, I often get praise for Grand River Raceway's success because I happen to be the face of it. On many occasions, I can tell you with absolute certainty that it's very much a team effort, any success we've had, and that success starts at the board level. So we have a board which really supports harness racing and supports our efforts to do everything we can to grow the harness racing industry, and that's the essential start, and it trickles all the way down to the rest of the management and the staff on the front lines. It's really a whole team success. All right, so our basic philosophy is to engage interest, to evoke emotion, and to facilitate and deliver the experience. So that really summarizes the whole deal with how we market harness racing at Grand River Raceway. Some of our philosophies: take control of what you can control. We know there's lots of things in this industry that we can't control, which sometimes leaves us feeling like small, naked children crying in the corner. There are lots of things you can control, and so that's our philosophy. Do the best on the things that we can control. Make the most, seize opportunity, and maximize. That's certainly exactly what Kathy was saying at the end of her presentation. Make the most of those opportunities at the racetrack. Seize all of those opportunities that you may not realize are opportunities, and there's dozens of them, and so we try to be diligent about that. We are still very much a grassroots operation, and when you're a grassroots operation, you have to seize those opportunities. You have to find those opportunities in the everyday life and make the most of them. Celebrate your differences. People within the industry often bemoan, oh, we don't have this and we don't have that. We don't have major mainstream success. It's different when people come to our races, whatever. Within those differences make you different from other products, and so you need to celebrate those differences and find a way to turn that into success. And finally, enthusiasm begets enthusiasm, and enthusiasm makes progress eventually. So a lot of what we do is an investment. So, the Tarmac show and some of the things I'm going to talk about, those are investments that you don't see immediate return from that. There's no immediate ROI. It's an investment in where you want to go. So it's always better to be enthusiastic than to not be enthusiastic, even if you have to fake it. So the live racing product is an experience sold through a series of impressions based on sight, sound, smell, taste. Those are the tangibles. The intangibles, feelings, connection, comfort. We were just talking off to the side about how intimidated people are to come up and make that first wager. That's an intangible, right? I mean, that's something they can see or feel, or see or touch, but it's a feeling that they have. And so the flip side of that is something positive. And so you have to determine how you're going to create that within your facility. This is Tom and Melissa. They are our greeters. Ever since we've opened, we've always had greeters at the front door on live race nights. Sounds like a small thing, except when you consider if you have a retail experience, you go somewhere to buy something, you go somewhere to have an experience. As soon as you walk in the door, as soon as you walk in this hotel, if you have a bad experience right off the bat, it taints the rest of your experience. So it's so important to make sure that their first touch is something positive. So we always have very friendly greeters at the door on live race nights, and it puts a human being there to answer questions as well. Some of our brands, the Tarmac Show is the main focus of our marketing. That's an interactive show that I host between the races, and then we sort of have all these offshoot brands. Pardon me, the Geek Squad, we run a bunch of handicapping contests, a series of handicapping contests all year long, whether we're racing or not, which are for the hardcore bettors. So the hardcore players, hardcore harness racing geeks, hence Geek Squad. The Neighborhood is our kids program we run on Friday nights. So that's the neighborhood, if you get it. You can laugh. The Paddock Report is hosted by Daryl MacArthur, so that is our Monday night feature, and Monday night is our premier night of racing. It's our best card. We simulcast all our cards, but that's our best opportunity for return on the simulcast market. So Daryl does a report from the backstretch where he talks directly to the connections of the horses. The idea is that if you're listening to our simulcast or watching on track, you're getting information, you're getting the inside scoop about the horses straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. It's done really well, and we're really happy with it. Our Fun and Frivolity Friday nights is the highlight of the Tarmac Show. So we have a different crowd on Friday nights. That's our best opportunity to catch new people and get them really engaged in harness racing. So we really ramp it up on Friday nights with lots of super duper fun stuff. And our Showtime staff training I'm going to talk about in a second, and two of our other brands are major stake races, the Battle of Waterloo and the Battle of the Bells. So our strategies: empower staff to deliver the goods, human resources playing a really important part, which I don't think at small tracks in the past it's really been considered important. But what we've determined in pretty short order when we open this facility is that our most important ally in getting people engaged in harness racing is our staff, because they're the ones delivering the experience. And we realized that we'd had people working for us for many years when we were formerly Elmira Raceway. We had mutual tellers working for us for 20 years who didn't know the difference between a trotter and a pacer. And How do you expect them to deliver an experience about harness racing when they don't even know the basics? And we can't blame the mutual tellers. It's not their fault. Nobody ever taught them. So we decided we had to teach them. And that's when we implemented this Showtime staff training program, which I think is the next slide. All right, it's not, so I'll go more into that in a second. Personalizing participants and patrons, so you'll see some of the McDonald's there. They're not the only people who get to talk on camera at Grand River Raceway, but they seem to be in these pictures. So putting the participants in front of the people, giving them some personality, giving them some dimension. When people see dimension in the characters in front of them, then the experience becomes richer. That's the idea. So when Anthony McDonald takes over a microphone, you get an idea of what his personality is. He becomes a real person. Same thing with Mark McDonald. The fellow on the end won a handicapping contest. He won based on Mike Langdon's picks, or Mike Langdon's drive. We took him to the backstretch, introduced him to Mike Langdon, and had Mike Langdon present the check to him. That's a whole different experience for him. He's been coming to the races for 30 years. He's never met a driver. Now his favorite driver is Mike Langdon. You know, he really had an experience that night. Small things that you can do that don't cost a bundle of money. All right, so this is our Showtime staff training that I was talking about. So this is in cooperation with the Ontario Harness Horse Association. This is one of those programs under the umbrella program of the Hands on Horses program. So that includes our Showtime staff training. So what we did in order to make sure that our frontline staff had a good appreciation for harness racing and could deliver with sincerity the harness racing experience to our patrons is we decided we had to give them a hands-on experience. So this is Karen she's from the Backstretch restaurant. She doesn't come from a harness racing background. So this is Daryl, the host of our Monday night show. This is part of the training. They go through a full day training program every year, and they have a classroom session where they learn, you know, the basic anatomy of the racehorse, basic terms in horse racing, all those things that they may be approached about by a race patron. And then we take them out on the track and they get to actually drive a horse. And it seems like a really simple concept. When you talk about it, it seems like one of those things, you know, like why the heck wouldn't you do that, right? But you need to have those partnerships in place. Grand River Raceway doesn't have those 4 retired racehorses that are good for that sort of thing. We don't have the double-seated jog carts. We don't have any of the resources. So by working with the Ontario Harness Horse Association, you know, we get all those things accomplished. And now we have other racetracks who come to Grand River Raceway. They bring their staff. They bus the staff in. And we have the Ontario Lottery Corporation, which you don't have a good appreciation for this because you don't live in Ontario and you're not aware of some of the strife that's taken place, but I'm sure you can imagine, you can use your imagination. So we actually have the Ontario Lottery Corporation staff, who are the ones who manage the slots in our facilities. They're actually sending their staff now, because when you come into Grand River Raceway, you don't, as a patron, you don't see the line down the middle that says these are racetrack staff and these are slot staff. You know, that's not the experience seamless for the patron. So now the slot staff are actually learning about harness racing, which is wonderful. I'm just going to wrap it up here as quickly as I can. We do a lot of work with the local community for good PR purposes, but also, obviously, to put bums in the seats and get new people introduced to harness racing. So we have a local biz night where we bring out local businesses. We pair them with a racehorse. In their race, we present a trophy. So in that bottom left-hand corner, those are all the businesses that came for our first. We sold it out last year. It was our first year. So again, getting people engaged. This is kind of our theory on sustainability. So everybody's looking for harness racing to be able to sustain itself. Sustainability requires a great brand driven by great products and an excellent, consistent image. A great culture defined by expectations, so a culture of employees, a culture within the horsemen's groups, and humility, the ability to admit mistakes and take responsibility, and God knows we've all made lots of mistakes along the way. The more you try, the more mistakes you make, right? These are just some images of our staff being engaged in different events. Some of you may know Dr. Clark. He's our general manager, the head poobah at Grand River Raceway, so that's He'll be mortified to learn that I that I used this picture in this presentation, but that's him. That was some pirate-themed night of some sort. And some more pictures. So there's some of our partners, the Racetracks of Ontario, ROMP group that I've spoken about a little bit. That's 7 racetrack marketing managers working together. So it's pretty much half the tracks in Ontario that we've managed to get together to work on different promotions, and we've been doing that for a couple of years and have had some really major initiatives come out. That's a really good partnership. There's just some list of some of our cooperative ventures that we've done. I won't go into them because of time. And some of our tarmac show features as well. And I'm almost done. Social marketing obviously is one of our main strategies at Grand River Raceway. So we put a lot of time and energy into our social marketing mediums. Not expensive in terms of monetary layout, but manpower and ideas. All of these social marketing mediums, they're like the beasts that need to be constantly fed. So they're only as good as what you put into them. And when we talk about maximizing resources, any video that our video team creates for any other purpose, it always gets posted on our Facebook page. It always goes up on our YouTube page. So making sure that everything that we produce, all the efforts we put out, we get maximum gain. And these are just some images of different things, stuff. I just want to tell you quickly about this. This is on the tarmac show on Friday nights, part of Fun and Frivolity Friday nights. We have, the price is almost right. So what we do is Kyle, you'll see there, he's our blacksmith actually at Grand River. He comes up and he brings an item from the top, from the tack shop. We get 3 patrons from the crowd. It's just like The Price is Right. He brings out the item, and then they have to guess on the retail value of it. Well, of course, the beauty of it is that Kyle then gets to talk on camera in front of the crowd about, what this item is and what it does in harness racing, and so it engages them and teaches them something. So one night we brought in an artificial vagina, right? Because for breeding purposes. Because where do the race horses start from, right? And people were just captivated because most of them have no idea. Again, we take for granted what they know or don't know. Most of them thought every horse on the racetrack had been conceived by live cover, right? They have no idea how things work. So it was fascinating for them. And I got to say vagina on air like 20 times and not get in trouble for it. So. Exactly. There is just an image of our youth camp program. Again, that's one of the programs under the Hands on Horses program. There's the Bouncy Pony Stakes, okay? Is everybody happy, Jeff? Yes. The Bouncy Pony Stakes is part of the Fun and Frivolity Friday nights. We take the 4 best-looking, most intoxicated people in the crowd and put them out on the racetrack. On inflatable horses. You've probably heard of it. It's very popular. And there's some more imagery. So talk about an experience, right? Engaging people in the experience. And then again, just as an example, then we take all that footage. We always take the footage of the Bouncy Pony Stakes. We post it on our Facebook page. We post it on our YouTube page. We make sure we tell all the people that are involved in the Bouncy Pony Stakes that night. You'll be able to find your race up on Facebook. Check our Facebook page on Monday. It'll be up there. Once they get on there, they tag themselves on the footage. All their friends then see the footage. And so you see how things truly, as long as you put the effort in, it can really work for you, but it takes effort. There's some Bouncy Pony Stakes from Industry Day with the drivers. Some images from some contests. And there's some more images from those programs under the Hands on Horses program. And I think that's about it. And the last thing that I'll close with is we worked with the Ontario Harness Horse Association this year on this program, and it was called the same name as the horse costume game. So this was 3 nights. The premise was we drew our races on Monday for Friday, so by Tuesday on our website we would post all of the names of the horses racing on Friday, and the deal was that you were to create a costume and come to the track dressed as that horse's name. So Daryl, for example, his horse was Dodgy Dealer, and my horse was Viking Intimidator. And so we thought, I had loved this idea for so long, and I so wanted it to work. I wanted people to show up with clever costumes according to the horse names, but you never know what you're going to get. And so we offered $5,000 in cash prizes over the course of the 3 nights, and we worked with the Ontario Harness Horse Association. And so here are some of the costumes that they showed up with. They were so clever and so well thought out, and people just had the best time. It created the best atmosphere. Listowel is a small town near Elora, and there was a horse named Listowel, and so she came dressed as the Listowel water tower. Some of the other ones, How Time Flies, I think was the name of the horse. Concord, you can see the one woman had this elaborate, which looked like a bird. But it was all homemade. They were all homemade. And Concessionaire, that was just the best one. That's all handmade stuff. Those aren't real candy apples. Those are like fake candy apples that she made. They were just incredible. It just created such a fabulous atmosphere. And did it on that night double the handle? No. But it's all part of a master plan for engagement. So there's all the costumes from the one night. And that's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Excellent ideas, and definitely thinking outside the box and getting people engaged. It's wonderful. Really appreciate you here. As with all the panelists, I believe Lee and Kathy have to step out now. So we're going to move into the media media relations panel, and we're merged it with the marketing, and we have Dave McLean and Norm Borg, as well as Kelly's going to speak on that in a moment. I'd like to thank Kathy and Lee again for their contribution to the symposium here. So the final panel for the day was media relations, and I'm going to ask Norm Borg to come up and speak on what is our image as an industry, and what should our image be, and how do we better the image in the media atmosphere.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Thanks a lot there, Kelly. I never get that image out of my mind now. The horses, you know what? I jog every morning. I'll never look at it the same way now. But anyway, people ask us what our image is, and to me there are 2 different models of that. One is completely false, the other is completely avoidable. Notice I didn't say it was inaccurate. There's always that typical image of our sport of fedora wearing wise guys, you know, the kind. Hey buddy, stay out of the try, all right, it's $200. That's really not an issue anymore. The other one is that we're a bunch of yokels, and that is avoidable and it's untrue. But image is everything, and to me that's the biggest issue. When people are looking at a bank of television screens in a teletheater and they see, for example, all the thoroughbred tracks, people showing up in the winner's circle, decently dressed, looking very refined, and then they look over at the harness track and the groom of the winning horse is dressed up in a old torn tank top, it does not help our image, and it doesn't take a whole lot to fix. If you're a trainer, make sure your staff is properly attired. Buy them t-shirts with your stable's name on it. Now, a lot of you may be saying, you know, what do we care about the media? We're not in the media. Well, every one of you here is a reporter. Every one of you has a story if you're in this game. Look at Ross Galbraith. This guy has been able to generate so many stories by simply telling our story. Case in point, and I think Ross has conveyed this, there was a story about a horse that was retiring at age 14. Ross happened to tell the ATV reporter, was it Ross, about this. He was met with some cynicism, but the reporter came anyway. And guess what? Thought it was fantastic. He did a 2.5-minute piece on ATV, loved the whole idea of the story. Those are the little things that you and I can do to get our story out. We can all be reporters on one level or another. And I want to go back just for a moment to the issue of attire. Last year we had our Frank Ryan Trot, as we do every year for the past 46, I believe it is. The winning horse was Slave Dream. His trainer was being interviewed before the race, and of course he had his silks on. During the race, he went to the backstretch to watch. His horse won, and I was so shocked and surprised and delighted to see him come out wearing a shirt and tie. You know, I'm not saying we all have to go the thoroughbred route in every aspect, but you know, just it wouldn't hurt in some areas. So that's something to think about. How do we get our story out? I think that a lot of it's high touch, high feel. I don't think it's enough to just send a media release to a bunch of reporters and hope that, you know, the story gets covered. That just doesn't work anymore. I think that as people who work in the industry, we have to cultivate those relationships. And I know that at Rito, that's been working out very well for us. We've got people at all the major media that have good working relationships with many of our staff, from our race office to our marketing department. Again, it's got to be more than just sending out a simple press release. Also, as part of what you're trying to put out there, it's always good to have a hook, as we call it in the radio business. Some kind of human interest aspect to it. Earlier we heard from that young man who started an ownership group, and he too was the subject of a lot of media attention. People want to know that there's a human touch to things. Watch any Kentucky Derby, and you'll find that they're able to dig out a story about a third cousin twice removed to the groom of the owner who's got a kid who's got leukemia. That's sad, but they still manage to bring out that human element, and we got to start doing that in our game. There's no reason why we shouldn't. The message, however, is only as good as the presentation, and one of the things we're guilty of is not putting enough money into, let's call it infrastructure. What do I mean by that? You bring the reporters, they generate the interest, the public comes, but the main floor of the grandstand still looks like a church basement. That's something we can avoid. It doesn't take a whole lot. Why do people spend more time at the slots and less time at the track? Because they feel safer there. It's a warmer environment. They come back to the track and then it looks the same way it did in 1968. And again, I'm not trying to tell track owners how to spend their money, but you know, a few bucks here and there might just do the trick. Have a point man. Have somebody, especially in Atlantic Canada, if you can get one person that can help with the publicity for all your tracks, from a radio standpoint, for example, all they need is a simple free program off the internet you can download called Audacity, and for about $300 you can get a simple little board and another gadget that hooks up the phone to the internet and to your computer. I use it all the time for Trot Radio, and that person can be your point man, making sure that the media people get the stories. And I have a media background, and all due respect to our media cohorts here, but we can be a pretty lazy lot. Give us a story, and then pretty soon we're going to come asking you for one. So I think that's something that has to be kept in mind. We've got the greatest game in the world, and it's sometimes the best kept secret in the world. Let's stop that from happening. Thank you.
No intro. That's fine. That's okay, Jeff. I don't know. I just wanted to sit here talking.
Yeah, I was just too engaged there. I was thinking and then forgot I was supposed to come up. No, thanks, Norm. What was that? Audacity?
Audacity, this is
Okay.
a computer program that allows you to edit and produce, and I produce all the Trot Radio podcasts with it. That much is free, and for, like I said, about $300, I contacted the engineer at one of the radio stations, told him that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to produce podcasts and news reports. He said, this is what you need. He brought it over, set it up. I mean, I'm a techno moron. And so this guy was able to do it for me, and I took it from there. So that's something great. If you can have a point person, that would really centralize the information.
Excellent. No, that's great. Really appreciate it, Norm. I'm looking forward to tonight's banquet. Norm is doing the address there, and really excited. Dave McLean has the publication Harris Atlantic here that launched out last year and was a big success in New Brunswick, and also writes for the Telegraph Journal, been a long time supporter and been involved in the industry. Great to have Dave here with us, and we'll hear from him on his media information.
Thanks, Jeff. In the interest of time, and I don't have a formal presentation either, and I'll keep it short. Many of the things that Norm said are bang on. We have a great industry, and in my position, my full-time job is now front page editor for our newspaper, and so on a daily basis, we have a story meeting, and how we determine what goes into the paper is what piques the interest of the people around the table. And as Norm said, feel-good stories, we love to tell a story that we know the next morning people are going to feel good about reading. Now, the flip side is the other thing that drives, whether it's ratings electronically or sales at the for newspapers, are scandals. Don't worry about scandals. If you have one, we'll find you. But, and that's unfortunate, but it's the truth. But the feel-good stories, as Norm said as well, we're not only a lazy, complacent lot, but we're a shrinking lot in the journalism business. So, you know, it's all a person can do to get your 2 or 3 stories a day on the reporting side out. And so, you know, that's a great idea, and we have people in the Maritimes who are ideally placed to do something as Norm suggested. And the 2 that immediately come to mind who do their jobs very well in terms of media relations are Lee Drake and Lynn McClellan, in terms of getting info out timely, getting exactly the type of information that needs to get out. They do a really good job, and so if you need help or guidance getting messages out, those are the kind of people. And we have, you know, there's all kinds of others. I'm always available to help. Guys like Ross knows the media inside and out. And there are all kinds, but when you were mentioning that program, I just thought, wow, we have a lot of people who are ideally qualified to do things like that. I also was thinking about, you know, we're a bunch of crazy egomaniacs in the media business. Everybody I work with and probably am a prima donna, and a building full of them. And I know a thing that we did many years ago in Moncton, back in the days when you actually charged admission and could get away with it at the racetrack, was we had season passes done up and brought them to each of the media outlets with their name on it. You know, you're important. When you come out, you don't pay for anything. We'll look after you. Now, I don't know how that would translate necessarily today. We don't charge, but something along those lines would be a way to, you know, it establishes the rapport with the reporters. Get in and see them. Let them know you're there. Let them know the product that you have, the facility that you have, if you have one. And that you have a bunch of stories. And, you know, as Ross would know about pitching those stories, and he does it all the time, and Jeff does, there's a bunch of people who do, a lot of times it doesn't generate a story. But don't give up. It's not that it wasn't a good story. It was maybe the news cycle. You know, if don't come to us during an election campaign with a nice feel-good story. You're not going to get covered. Don't come on budget day. Don't, you know, and you can't time these things, but there are people who can help you time it too. If it's just a feel-good story, it can hold. It's one of those things we can develop and strategically release, whether it's to coincide with a big week coming up or anything. It ends up being free advertising for the track, and it shows how good the game can be and how much fun it can be. So in those instances where your, you know, story pitches don't materialize, don't give up. find the next story, and keep pitching it. And one of the ways that you might be able to help in your pitch, and I know there were people here earlier today, and I'm not sure who all would have this luxury, but we have in our game a lot of powerful advertisers. And if you're not having any luck on the editorial side, I guarantee you that if, and I won't throw any names out, but if a guy who owns a couple of car dealerships who spends tens of thousands of dollars a year in a small town newspaper calls his ad rep and says, you know, we have a good thing going on out there and we just don't seem to get any attention, those things filter down, you know, and it's not as bad as I might be making it out to be, but it's true, you know, it's just an extra foot in the door. If you have those advantages, don't be afraid to use them. I think generally speaking in the Maritimes, you're fairly well served. I know it's greatly different from when I started. We don't do nearly as much as I would like or as we used to, but when good stories like that come along, it transcends whether it's a racing fan or not making the pitch. A good story is a good story. A feel-good story is a feel-good story. So, you know, never give up making those pitches, because eventually, you know, it'll get through. I think those were basically, I guess the other thing I had written down is, especially in our age when you can take your cell phone out of your pocket and see who just won the last race anywhere in North America, don't worry about whether we get results and entries in the paper anymore. I don't know if it's, I think rather than wasting the resources of a newspaper to focus on those things which the results of races appeal to only the people who go to the races, nobody else. And those people all know where to find those results now. It would seem to me that that's a waste of time. We used to focus so much time and energy getting those results in, getting those entries in, and now, look, forget about that. You're much better off focusing your attention on, if you want to promote an upcoming card, find that feel-good story, find that angle that will appeal to people beyond the people who are already going there. So I leave you with that, open to all kinds of suggestions and comments, but those are just a few thoughts that I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. I agree. I think that, you know, times have changed a lot, and we have to start looking at the different needs and wants of the consumer. So as we wrap up for the day, I appreciate everybody's here, and Kelly Spencer's going to wrap it up for us with, are you going to speak on the media stuff, or are you just going to leave it?
Do I have to get up? No, I don't have to get up. The only thing that I would add, I did have a small presentation, but we can wrap it up. The only thing that I would add is, it's again one of these things that you don't think about, but I would implore you to think about it. If you work at a racetrack or you are at a racetrack as a participant, you're part of the show. So the people who come to the racetrack who are strictly patrons, they recognize that you're part of the show, whether you're selling a mutual ticket, serving a burger, running around, putting on a promotion, or if you're the person who brings out a horse to the winner's circle, or the person who is driving the horse back to the winner's circle. You need to be cognizant of since we're all in the same boat and we're all trying to get to the same result, you need to be cognizant of what you look like when you come back to the winner's circle. And I understand what Norm's saying, but I'm not talking about attire. I'm talking about the face that you put on. When you come back to the winner's circle and you are smiling and even better, gregarious, that really sells the sport. I mean, you can see it, I see it night after night, so that's why I recognize it. I see the look on people's faces who are at the fence, and they see that a driver appears to be very friendly and outgoing and happy. You know, that really makes an impression on them. The flip side, when they come back and they're either emotionless, and listen, I understand, it's not you didn't just win the Hambletonian. I get it. You just won a two-claimer, and it's raining, and it's cold, and whatever. I understand. And likewise, when I'm walking through the facility, doing whatever I do, I've been there for 16 hours already. It's not the first race night of the season, it's the 57th, and the charm has worn off, and whatever, but you have to put on the show, you have to put on the face, because it does make a big difference. So that would be my only media suggestion. I didn't have to make any more because the other two presentations were so good.
Excellent. No, thank you very much. So again, thanks to everyone attending today. I hope everybody had a great day. I know I did. I learned a lot. Big thanks to all the panelists, especially the ones from out of town, out of province, that were able to come down and contribute. It's a huge contribution. We're back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to have another plan for the future panel, and also a wrap-up panel. So hopefully everybody gets back. Anybody watching online, thank you for watching, and make sure you're in St. John tomorrow morning or tonight at the banquet. So tickets are still, I think, a few available at the door, $35 a piece. Make sure you can get to the banquet. Take a look at the silent auction items. We do have the two breedings tonight being auctioned off. Great auctioneer coming in to auction those off in Randy Phillips. I'd like to take the time, too, at this point to thank all the organizers, all the sponsors. Christian and Randy Phillips put in a lot of time, Dorothy Stevens, Linda Hughes, Charles McTavish, as well as many others. But I think today was a great start. Tonight will be even better, and then tomorrow morning we'll wrap up and finish off the 2011 Symposium. So thank you, and see you at the banquet tonight.